Before we get into today's show, I want to announce that the Death's Parade Film Fest is hosting a live screening April 8th right here on the Grim and Bloody Theater YouTube channel. You're going to be able to watch at least 4 or 5 shorts that are 15 minutes or less, and that we will be bringing on filmmakers from at least 2 or 3 of them to sit down and have a chat about the films while we're watching them. So we're going through the submissions now, and submissions are still open. You can go to deathparadefilmfest.com and read more about it, and go ahead and email us a copy of the film, or if you have already submitted to the film festival, simply let us know the title, and we'll definitely put it in consideration. So we are going through and just giving films a cursory glance to make sure they don't have any extreme violence or gratuitous nudity or anything like that. But we are going to be watching it more intently for the first time during the live screening April 8th right here on YouTube. It will be live. You'll be able to watch it along with us. You'll be able to see our reactions and talk to the filmmakers as the film progresses. So definitely come back here. We're going to talk more about it as we get closer, but the submissions are open. We've had it a lot now, but we always want to see more. Maybe we expand it to 6 films. We'll see. But we are definitely excited to hold our first live screening event that is prelude to October, November, which we still have concrete plans to hold a physical film festival, pandemic permitting. But yeah, the live screening is something that we've thought about for a while, and we're just excited to finally put together. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll into today's theater. Thank you for joining us in the Grim and Bloody Theater. Today we have Gino Alfonso, writer, producer, and director of his debut horror film, Compatible, which will be releasing on various VOD platforms this fall. Thank you for joining us, Gino. It's a pleasure to meet you. And that trailer was fabulous, and can't wait to screen it for everybody coming up.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce my fellow host, Joe Flynn of Create TV. As a pleasure, Joe. Thank you for stopping by.
Oh, well, always.
Kevin Nicholson, Horror News Net extraordinaire, busy writer.
Hi, guys.
Working on all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, lots of writing stuff. Lots of writing stuff.
That's good.
Lots of writing stuff.
Al Omega, Creature Features. Hey. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and screen the trailer for Compatible. It's coming out this fall, but Gino has stopped by, and right after the trailer, we're going to talk all about it and what's going on with Compatible and Gino. So stay tuned, and hope you enjoy.
With Compatible, you will get a unique interactive dating experience that can potentially help you to be safe from unhealthy relationships by having your friends and family watch your date and judge it.
And if I was 30 years younger, man, I'd take it to her.
I could see her and I going out.
Oh, just give him a pity blowjob already.
It's such a violation of privacy. I don't know why you're doing it.
Please, call me back. It's your mom.
My name is Perry.
Well, it's really nice to meet you, Perry.
I hope you die.
Are you guys seeing this? This is crazy.
Should somebody tell Emily?
What do you think of this shit?
This is fucked up. This is really fucked up.
She was kidnapped by that guy she met online. Oh no.
What the fuck is he doing?
Not everyone is who they say they are. Don't put yourself in any dangerous situations. But if something should arise, Compatible is not responsible.
Well, thank you for stopping by again. Yeah, that was Compatible trailer that is going to be preceding Gino Alfonso's directorial debut. There's a lot happening in that trailer, and we'll just jump right in. I know dating right now it's either impossible or extremely difficult, and it's very much online. But with the pandemic, that was before the pandemic. Right now, it's a risk, to say the least. Now, I'm guessing because this trailer is a little bit, probably a year old at this point, you didn't have the pandemic in mind when you started writing it. Is that right?
No, correct. Yeah, actually, when we started production, it was literally right before the pandemic hit and became really a part of the public eye. So like about a month after we shot was when everything really started coming out and we started going on lockdowns and everything. So I had no idea that the pandemic was happening. I think it was slowly like bleeding out in other countries and stuff, but it hadn't quite hit the United States yet. So when I was writing it, it was really just I needed to write that calling card feature and get something done. And I felt that I needed to do something extremely contained, with the success of like Unfriended and Searching. Those really hit a chord with people, and I wanted to take that to the next level, because those were more of a realistic, more supernatural element type of thing going on there. But I wanted to really hit on something that everybody can relate to, which 80% of people nowadays meet their significant other through some form of online dating service. And it was left open for a bunch of possibilities. I'm like, this has got to be a horror movie. Like this would be fantastic. So yeah, I did not have the pandemic in mind at all. I know Host had kind of worked with what they had access to during the pandemic,
Right.
shot specifically for that, but we didn't think of that at all when we were shooting this.
True. I do have to say the cast looks really great. And can you tell people who are in this film?
Yeah, so it was interesting. The first one that actually came on board was Eileen Dietz, from The Exorcist, known as Reagan, who was in all the makeup. She did the masturbation with the crucifix scene, all the stuff that Linda Blair was not able to do. She was the one that did all of that.
Wow, nice.
She's the unknown force behind The Exorcist. And I was friends with her on Facebook, and when I was talking to a lot of my other producer friends, they were like, you're not going to be able to sell it without a name attached. So I was reaching out to whoever I knew on Facebook, and we talked mutually a couple of times, but never like really serious. And I messaged her and asked her if she'd want to be a part of it. She read the script, loved it, came out to Denver. We shot a little segment of it, and she's like, hey, I think this could be bigger. And so she sort of came on as my first co-producer on the film. And she was really the one that like helped catapult all of the horror icons that came on, like Ari Lemon from Friday the 13th, Julie Prescott, who's, you look her up, she's been in like over 150 movies and has 200 more coming out.
Oh yeah, long list.
I mean, she's a very busy person. Elissa Dowling, who's got movies on Netflix and Amazon Prime. I mean, she's been really busy herself too. Really, really great supporting cast of iconic horror female actresses on the project, along with a few others. So, just really sort of spiraled, and the horror community is very, very much a family. So as soon as people find out about a really cool horror project, everyone wants to be involved. I had to turn people down. Actually, even bigger names, I'm turning them down because I've wanted to work with them for so long. So like I'm like, the next project I'll get you in, but like they keep pestering, like, what are you doing next? What are you doing next? I want to work with you. After they've seen what kind of came about with Compatible, so that's been pretty cool. And we had G. Larry Butler, who has been in a lot of really like cult films. He was in Call of the Wild recently with Harrison Ford. So there, it's a really big cast for such a small budget and a small, production, which was really cool. So everyone kind of banded together and helped out that way. But it was really because of Eileen coming on board first and spreading the word within the horror community that we really got everyone that we were able to get, along with Joseph Kelly, who's my lead star and my co-producer. Bergen Reese, who plays Emily, she's a newcomer. She's gonna be, really big. Everyone did amazing. So yeah, it's a really fun cast. It was a very intense shoot. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Almost literally.
Yes, like in any horror film.
How does that feel for you? It must be a really bizarre feeling that you have to turn people down, or you get so much interest in that you've already cast the feature, but you have to. Some people are calling you. Robert Englund calls you or something like. You say, "I'm sorry, Robert. I can't find a place to fit you in the in the film. There was so much so much interest."
Yeah,
How did that feel for you?
It was nerve-wracking because we could have made it even bigger, but we were on such a constrained budget that it was really hard in such a constrained schedule. We shot it in 6 days.
Wow.
So even that was even more intense. I think I slept 10 hours that week. And it really was surreal because being such a horror fan, having people that have worked with like David Cronenberg, Wes Craven, people like that actually wanted to work on my first movie, and having to turn them away, I was like, well, I know what I could do on my next film.
I'd already be writing it.
The name.
That's your next film.
And I could raise.
You make a movie about a producer that has to turn away all these horror icons and they get angry.
Right.
There we go. Or all their characters come after them. You have to turn away Robert Englund and then Freddy Krueger comes.
Yeah.
Do they get angry and then they start stalking you, and it gets into a whole fight for your life kind of
let me be in your movie.
Yeah. And that's the title of it. Let me be in your movie.
You heard it here first.
Credit for that.
That could be interesting. That could be fun. But yeah, it was really surreal. It still is. Just the love that the film has gotten and the motivation and stuff. It's just I can't wait to really release it and have everyone see it and get the reactions from people, and hopefully they're the same as what we had when we were doing the Kickstarter campaign and all the promotion of it between then and now. It's been a crazy year for sure.
I think you've tapped into something here for a very primordial fear. Dating, just dating, putting yourself out there can be nerve-wracking in and of itself. And as I was saying earlier, put some technology in it where people can kibitz and critique your technique. And there's one guy in there doing that in the promo there. I wouldn't say what he's suggesting that he do, but we'll just leave that out because everyone else should watch that. But everyone has that fear. No one goes to a date and says, "Yeah, I've got this nailed," except maybe William Shatner and Vincent Price. But that's about it. So yeah, I think you've hit a real deep chord in people that everyone can feel. I'm afraid of dating a little bit, but I want to get out there.
Yeah.
Now that's not even talking about dating someone who's psycho, which we all do at one point. So.
Yeah.
Because I'm imagining William Shatner and Vincent Price out on dates. That would be.
Actually, there's a movie I'm getting ready to do in a couple weeks. William Shatner, it's like 73, and it starts out with he's in a nightclub, and it's 73, so like the velvet jacket, dress jacket, and the big silk scarf, a la Freddy from Scooby-Doo, and they've got
nice.
strippers and dancers, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm the Mac Daddy here. This is what I was born to do, be in the nightclub with all the girls." And you see, this is him in his natural environment as far as he's concerned. Vincent Price, on the other hand, can go anywhere and do anything with anybody, and it would be cool. So, because that's Vincent Price.
Yeah.
Despite what the barista said. Did a bar yesterday, and the barista didn't know who Vincent Price was.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
And
I'm
after
not
you
feeling old.
recovered, did
Wow.
you point it out to to them after you sufficiently recovered? Don't know who some price was.
She's like, oh, he was in Twilight Zone, right? No. No,
That's
not
when you
him.
walk away. That's when you walk away.
That's when you just take, you just say, hey, this person doesn't know.
Forgive her father for
Just
what she
walk away.
She does not know.
They're probably like in their 20s or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, let me ask you, Gino. What was kind of how did you come about to be a horror fan and a director? Were you
Oh, geez.
were you the horror geek kid growing up?
Oh yeah, as I say in the faculty, there's that one freaky Stephen King kid in every school. I was that kid. It was from an early age. Like, I mean, it started with Goosebumps and Stephen King, and really the first horror movie that really got me into horror was, of course, The Exorcist. I think I was about 11 or 12. So that movie sort of came full circle, being my favorite film of all time. And then my first feature film, getting to work with the demon behind Reagan, like, that was just, sort of a bucket list, sort of career move right there. So that was pretty cool. But for me, I've always been a horror fan, movie fan. But I started making short films when I was about 12 or 13. When I was in high school, I was never good at like assignments, like doing handwritten paper assignments. So I'd have my teachers approve for me to do a short film based on the assignment, and I would answer the questions or whatever needed to be done within a short film. And then I would turn it in.
I like that.
Yeah.
So I would use my classmates to act in it and work on the crew and stuff, and they would get graded on it as well. So we'd, sort of pair up on that, and that was how I kind of got everyone involved and started learning technique, based on what needs to be beginning, middle, and end. That kind of helped me with the story and structure and stuff like that from an early age. And that really helped me with the script writing and figuring out how to write scripts before all these script programs and script books and stuff like that, where, it's at people's fingertips now, and anyone could be a screenwriter. You had to be self-taught pretty much back then. So yeah, that's kind of how that came about.
No, I agree with you. It's not like today. Hey, you could pick up a book on how to be a filmmaker, a painter, whatever it is you're into. There's always that niche. But I do want to ask, can you tell the people what compatible is about without any spoilers, please?
Without any spoilers, that's a tough one. So Compatible is about a dating app where you get on the app and you get followers basically like you would on Facebook or Twitter, but it's a virtual. So as soon as you set up on the app, you're sent a camera that you attach to yourself. And whenever you start going on dates, you get viewed on who you're going out with, and they can judge, are they good looking? Are they charming? Are they an asshole? Is this somebody that you'd want to bring home to mom, or do you want to kick them to the side of the curb as soon as they say hello? Is it one of those things, and they can judge, and then based on how they judge, you can make your, call on, do I want to keep seeing this person based on what they say, or do I want to go with my gut feeling on, do I feel something, screw what other people say, should I lead by, what society says that I should do? The character Emily goes on a couple of dates. The first couple of guys she meets are a little bit weird and off, not quite 100% compatible. And then she meets Greg, who seems like the perfect catch, the guy that you'd want to bring home to mom and dad. He like super charming, good looking, he's got it all, he's got, the money, whatever, and then things take a turn for the worst. So we'll just leave it at that. Things take a turn for the worst. And they can kind of gather from the trailer what happens. from that point. But yeah, it's just a series of, so dates, okay dates, and then great guy, but there's something in the closet, which, sometimes you don't find out until after a couple of dates with the person, or after you've been with the person for a while. You don't find that out. I mean, most serial killers, people don't know what they're doing until they get caught. So it's that very scary fine line of who is the perfect person.
I wanted to ask you, Gino, as far as dating in horror, because I think those two are mutually they're in the same bed now. It's scary. It was scary before. I couldn't imagine now. But it's funny how fiction will sometimes foretell future, especially in horror, in sci-fi. You look at movies like Pandorum, and you think, oh my God, that it's the crazy. How we would all hop on a ship, and it's the last ship to leave Earth, and they wake up and it's like they've been there for however many years at the bottom of the ocean. It's funny how sometimes horror can foretell strange, or not strange, but more of like realities that we don't want to see but are right around the corner. With dating, from the trailer, there's a lot in there that is based on what's happening now. You look at Instagram, you look at Twitter, you look at Facebook. People want to share everything. People want to get involved in everything. Hell, my sister met her husband on Twitter, of all places, right?
Wow.
So do you think that it's going to get easier for people because technology isn't slowing down? Social platforms aren't slowing down. More people are hopping on Instagram than ever before. Do you think that, this is your opinion, but do you think that it's just going to get tougher the more we fall down this rabbit hole of technology, and everyone wanting to be involved in everyone else's life, and everyone sharing what's happening in their life with everyone they know?
I really do think it is. I mean, because people can put up a persona on social media that's not who they are in person. I mean, for example, one date I went on years ago, the guy was a great conversationalist on the phone. Like, he seemed like we had everything in common. When we actually got together to eat, dinner or whatever, he didn't say a word, and he was on his phone texting and not talking to me the whole time. So it's complete opposite then, and that was over 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. And I can only imagine now, because 90% of the time people are on their phones texting. So I think relationships that last longer than even a few years are really the lucky ones, and you got to hang on to those people, especially if you have a connection that doesn't revolve around a box, literally like a box. And if you have that connection with somebody, that's a good one, because if there's that disconnect where 80% of the time you're together, you're on your phones and you're not communicating, that there's something wrong there, emotionally, physically, whatever.
You don't have that bond that can stretch and bend during the tough times. It's rigid, it's there, but if something happens, how long is that going to hold on for it? And I couldn't imagine the correlation between the social media and as you said, you're distracted the whole time. What's the correlation with that and divorce rates? I couldn't imagine. I'm sure divorce rates are just
sure it's pretty high. I mean, I haven't actually done the research myself, but now more than ever, I'm sure it's extremely high, because people initially will meet online, and that'll be how they originally communicated the first however many months. Like, oh yeah, I'm seeing this person, and like all you see are like messages on Facebook or wherever, and it's not like actually getting together in person. It's like, that's not a relationship, that's a friendship. Without the intimacy added to it. So it's like, I think people have a really big disconnect of what a relationship is nowadays. So it's really hard to gauge, because it is different for everyone. I mean, some people can make it work, but others it's really hard to tell. But I would say right now it's probably a very high percentage of divorce rates or separations or whatever, just based on lack of communication.
Now, I did have a specific question regards to compatible. In the trailer, there's a lot of people, and I think I got it down. But it looks like compatible follows just like one family, right?
Yeah.
But it kind of like branches out into a bunch of other affected people.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are all the people that are commenting are the followers that are entrapped by Greg and what he does to Emily after the first few dates go south. And so when we did the Kickstarter campaign, that was one of the big perks, was to be one of the followers on camera, because by the time we actually got to getting those in, it was around the time of the pandemic, so a lot of people could film remotely and send their stuff in, and they didn't have to worry about traveling. So it was a really nice perk, because people could still be a part of the movie and not have to worry about traveling to Denver or LA or wherever, to get their scenes filmed. They could just do it from home and send us in the clips.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's totally good, especially with the guy with no shirt in the dining room asking, that guy looks a little trouble. Maybe we should go find out what's happening with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know more about that guy.
Yeah, and that was one of our producers, Bob Oliver. He's a great guy. He's actually partnering with me on a few things, and yeah, he's a good dude, and he had a lot of fun with that. And yeah, so it gets crazy. For sure.
It does. I'm just waiting for him to reach over with a waffle into a whole bucket of maple syrup there and start eating that. Now, like that one movie. We've been at home way too long at that point.
Have a John Waters, like, fried egg being thrown on you.
Oh. Okay, I wasn't going to go there, but he'd be proud of you, though.
Yeah.
So.
Now, Gino, what are your plans for compatible when everything's finished, post is finished, and it's sitting in the can, it's ready to go? Where do you see compatible streaming or playing in local theaters? Because by the time fall rolls around, fingers crossed, some theaters are going to be open.
Yeah. I mean, I've been hearing numbers are, kind of coming down a little bit for COVID, so I'm hoping that by the release time, we'll be back to normal. So I'm hoping we could get at least a minor theatrical deal, but also do the partial streaming. Any form of VOD services would be ideal. That's kind of where we want to go. I think with the type of movie that it is, the streaming would be probably even more ideal, just because it's so, it'd be relatable there as well, because people will still be kind of afraid to go to the theaters, or not going to just jump out. But if it's a really fun horror movie and it does get a minimal theatrical release, our hope is that that'll be the one movie that everyone wants to swarm to, instead of the next Marvel movie or the next, an original horror film, all practical effects, no CGI, something that, is completely relatable, that, is scary as fuck.
I think you hit it on the head there with even when theaters open. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a good number of people that just don't want to go. That through the past year, and by the time we get their year and 3/4, have invested in their home theater experience. Right? They've gotten a nicer TV. Maybe they cleaned up their sound system. They fluffed the pillows on their couch. But yeah, there's going to be people who say, "I'm actually comfortable here." And by then, anyone who's been on the streaming platforms like Redbox, Prime Video, you'll notice that they have a lot of home releases, like wide. I think call it wide home releases, where you can now. And Warner Brothers basically is doing this all year too. You can watch a brand new theatrical release at your home for. It's going to cost a little bit more. For example, Wally's Wonderland just came out. It's $20, right? It's a horror movie. I think it's probably the first big horror movie of the year. It's $20. But you can get a couple of your friends, right? You get your partner, your wife, whatever, and you don't have to sit in a tiny enclosed theater, sweating that the first person that coughs, everybody has it, right? So I think it's smart to, even when theaters are opening, target the streaming platforms, because I think there's still going to be a good number of people that just aren't ready to go back there yet.
Yeah, at least until probably like mid next year, like as things move forward, probably the next couple of movies, but this one for sure will be hitting at a time when it's still very much relevant for streaming for sure.
Well,
I think, oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna say, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't remember. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, your movie could be part of that impetus to stay home, because people go on dates to theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want to go on a date after seeing your movie.
Yeah, it might ruin the date.
Yeah,
my movie might be the biggest cock block ever.
I can picture the tagline: "Just when you thought it was safe to get back in the dating game." Boom.
Compatible.
I think that the scariest part of the trailer, the premise of the film, is all the participation from other people. That's what has me intrigued, because I think more and more couples are opening up their lives and their stories to people. So maybe you really don't know who the other person is. As you said, they could have some online persona, and I think the more you open yourself up to, I think the more you're just risking, not your personal identity, but just who you are as a person. Now you just there's a lot of us that should be kept private, in my opinion. And I think that your partner is one of them. There's nothing wrong with sharing pictures, or we went here, we're planning this, but actively saying rate my dates so far, that's scary, because that's such on such a personal level that shouldn't be shared with anybody. And the way that people were comfortable in the trailer just doing it and actually getting agitated that something's happening, that's just, oh man, that's filled with so much drama that could actually happen.
Yeah, and even the showing the intimacy level on the app too. I mean, even that there, like, some people are kind of shy at first with the intimacy stuff, and it's hard for people to perform, even with one person, much less 20 some people watching. Like, but a lot of people this day and age have become sort of exhibitionists with all of the oversharing that they do. To an extent, it's like, where is that line, of what's appropriate exhibitionism and what's not appropriate exhibition-ism, for people to view.
Yeah, that line is gone. That line needs to be redrawn.
Wheeled way in.
I think that line is definitely blurred. With with what's going on, people are more. I don't know whether it's a seduction of technology or what, but people have become more okay with showing more of themselves, putting more of themselves out there. And as your film, Gino, kind of elaborates on, there's a pitfall to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pitfall to it, and you could be subjected to terrors that you wouldn't know before. And I think that's going to touch a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Going to hit on a lot of people, especially with movies that are out there like now, like Host, which which deal with Zoom meetings and things like that, and in a terrifying situation. For anyone who hasn't seen Host, I do highly recommend it. I saw it, and it's tremendous. How do you put a seance together with a Zoom meeting, and how it becomes really kind of whack?
It was very well done.
Yeah, it was really interesting. But I can see your film really touching a nerve with a lot of people, really hitting on on something, and I'm looking forward to it.
Cool.
Looking forward to it.
So it sounds like, Kevin, you want me to get a Ouija board for the next show?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
I need to
conjure up some ladies and gentlemen.
I need to conjure up some demons. Maybe Al and I could start battling them,
Hey, I'm up for it, baby.
Just break out the We don't need a Ouija board.
Man. I believe in that stuff. I don't mess with it.
And there you go. By the way, I think me and Anthony are like, what? We're the dead meat people. in this scenario.
That's it. But Gino, I really just want to give you all the praise, all the well wishes that your film succeeds, because I think it's a really interesting film.
Thank you so much. Yeah, if anyone's interested in watching this, we are looking for investors to come on too. If anyone is interested, you could get in touch with me through my email address or through Kevin. We can
What is your email? Why don't you give it to if you want to share?
Yeah, you bet. It's Genome Films, GINOME films @gmail.com.
There you go. And Gino, what else do you have coming up? Can you tell?
I've got quite a bit. I'm producing a film called The Missionary, which is my buddy Steve's directorial debut. We're shooting in El Paso, Texas with Robert Lasardo. I'm doing a movie called The Hostage. That's my next directing gig that I'm doing. We're shooting that here in Denver in July. I've got like 4 movies back to back, so it's pretty crazy. I'm adapting a couple of novels, one called Firefly Rain by Richard Dansky, which is a horror sci-fi novel. A young coming-of-age novel called The Inexplicable Logic of My Life, which we'll be shooting probably sometime next year. I'm developing the script right now with my young actor, Caden Almeida, who we're kind of doing that a little bit differently than I normally do. I'm writing it based on my main actor, which, you don't usually get the luxury of doing, having your main talent while you're working on the script. So that's kind of an interesting process. But yeah, it's gonna be a busy couple of years. So, we're always looking for partners and people to come on and help out. I've got a range of, from horror to drama to sci-fi, small budgets, big budgets. It's gonna be a crazy year for sure.
It looks like it. And of course, who wouldn't want to write a story based on teens, life experiences at that time?
Yeah. It's an interesting process for sure. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of all the stuff that I've got coming out and just ready to rock and roll the next year. It's going to be a even more interesting year than last year. So, we'll see. We're finishing up post on Compatible. We've got some pickup shots to do in April. So I'll be going out to LA for that and then finishing up post and getting that ready to go for hopefully a Halloween release.
Awesome. Well, I hope we get to see a little bit more of Compatible as we're doing our film festival in San Jose in October, November. So we'll see if our paths cross again. But I want to wish you all the luck in your future projects.
Definitely love to have you for our film festival.
Absolutely.
If you can make it out here to San Jose.
Yeah, you can bring your piano.
That's it. And you can tell us more behind the scenes stories.
Damn piano.
Yeah.
Things like maybe you got some Eileen Dietz stories that you can share
that'd be great.
Share.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, and if anyone's ever in Texas, check out Bit Bar, which is owned by one of our co-producers as well, Johnny Huang. It's a nice restaurant out in Texas. So yeah. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff, and would be happy to do a follow-up as things kind of move forward. We could do another Zoom and kind of let you guys know as the distribution hits and kind of where to find it.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds great. Absolutely. But I want to thank you, Gino, for coming on, taking the time and answering our questions about Compatible. I think it looks like it's going to be a heavy movie. Looks like there's some lighthearted moments, and that's good because I think you need, change.
Which movie were you watching?
Yeah, he was watching European
trailer.
I don't remember any lighthearted moments at all.
I did when I saw the naked dude. I'm like, that's going to be funny, right? That's the funny part.
We're working with the only footage we got, okay? Come on.
Nice. All right,
I'm like, that's going to be the comedic relief, right?
Yeah.
No? We're supposed to take him seriously?
Nope.
Naked dude in the dark say, I'm worried about that guy. I'm like, I started laughing.
Nice.
Mr. Fluffy is
The
worried
irony.
about it too.
It was all.
But yeah, no, this was a blast, and thank you guys for having me on.
No, thank you for coming.
Yes.
You bet.
Thanks so much, Gino.